Just listen. I'm sorry what I did to Compton.
You are listening to
Fire emergency.
Please don't talk, just listen. I'm sorry I killed that girl.
That's Patricia. Welcome once again to the Grim Fix podcast. Thank you once again for being here with us, listening to us, watching us, whatever it is that you're doing. I appreciate it. Thank you for all of those who have subscribed to the podcast, who have left us reviews, who have shared with their friends and family. If you have not done so, you can find us on Spotify, you can find us on Anchor, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, on iHeartRadio, Google Play. Just look for the Grim Fix podcast, and there you will see us there. Follow and subscribe and listen and share. If you are watching us on the YouTube channel, thank you for all of those who have subscribed to the channel, who have watched, who have shared. Thank you. If you have not done so yet, it is totally free to subscribe. You just click that subscribe button, click that like button for the algorithm, and activate that notification bell. Yes, please make sure you like the video. I feel like YouTube lately has been playing tricks on us. The algorithm is all wacky, so we want to get those views and those hours up and those subscribers up. And again, I do appreciate all of those who have already done so. We want to remind you before we start, if you have a story that you want us to discuss, an interesting story, a weird story, a paranormal story, a murder story, a confession like Charles keeps asking for, if you have any of those, we invite you to send it to us at thegrimfixpodcast@gmail.com. If you wish to remain anonymous, just let us know in the email that you wish to remain anonymous, and we will keep you anonymous. So with that said, let's start today's show. So today we have a very interesting story. I really found it interesting. I mean, I gotta say that JR is doing a wonderful job doing our research. He's our research guy now. He's the one researching all these cases and lining them up for us to pick and choose what we want to talk about. So yeah, a round of applause for JR. Yeah. That's where the French fries start frying. And yeah, so this weekend I watched Hunter season 2.
Oh, you started already.
Started and finished, bro. I watched that shit like a beast. I
Which
sat
one?
down.
Season 2?
Season 2.
It already.
Yeah, it came out on Friday the 13th. And I sat down. I think I watched an episode on Friday. Saturday, I watched like 2 other episodes. And then Sunday, my wife and I just bummed it out and we watched the rest.
Yeah.
It was all I did was watch
like one a week.
That's what I thought, but no, they released the whole thing, so forget it. Like an animal. I just sat there. I watched the whole. All we did was watch TV Sunday. We watched Hunters. Then I started scrolling through Netflix and trying to find something new to watch. And I stumbled on, you know how Netflix shows you like the previews of anything new that came out, and it'll show you like a little clip.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there was something called, it's a documentary. It's called The Hatchet Wielding Hitchhiker. I do recommend everyone watch it. I found it very interesting. Apparently this was a situation that happened, I think it was in 2013. Apparently this hitchhiker, young kid, like in his early 20s, he travels the country just hitchhiking, doesn't have a home. He sleeps wherever and just travels and stops and hangs out with people, eats whatever he can get, and keeps it moving.
Oh,
So-
you gotta be ballsy for that.
Yeah, somewhere, I think it was in California, he ends up getting a ride with this guy. And according to his story, they smoke weed in the car. And all of a sudden, the driver says, I think somewhere along the lines, I'm paraphrasing here, do not quote me on this, but he apparently starts talking about how he would like to hurt someone. And I think he drives into like a parking lot and ends up hitting someone with his car. When that happens, this lady comes out and starts, talking to him like, oh, what's going on, whatever, blah, blah. And the driver comes and grabs the woman. So the hitchhiker decides to defend the woman, and he takes out a hatchet that he has in his bag and ends up whacking this guy 3 times over the head.
So I fucking ran up behind him with a hatchet. Smash, smash, smash.
The guy that interviews him decides to upload the video to YouTube, and overnight the shit goes viral. They even have a song.
So I ran up behind him with a hatchet. Smash, smash, smash. Yeah, yeah.
Thing is, this guy goes viral and everybody's trying to reach him. They want to interview him. They want to bring him to the news. They want to bring him to TV shows. Producers from the Kardashians, Jimmy Kimmel, all these shows are trying to find them because they're like, wow, this guy's a character. This guy would do great in like reality TV.
But is it based on a true story? Like,
Oh, this is real. This is
It's-
like real.
it's a
Yeah,
documentary.
This is like real.
no, it's a documentary, but
No. This
sometimes
is
they'll
like
tend
real.
to add on to it or something.
No. This is real. This is really real. Yeah.
Wow.
All right. So that's enough about TV and movies. Let's jump into today's case. Right. Today we are talking about, what is it? Is it a black magic killer? Right.
Yeah, the black
Yes,
magic
yes,
killer, the
yes.
shaman,
The
Shaman.
shaman is Ahmad
the
Suradji.
dutak. I think that's another name for it. Dutak, something like that.
Dude, I read something about that, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Isn't
it's,
that
I
like,
think it's another name. I guess it's over there in Indonesia.
Oh yeah, Dutak. It's
Dutak.
Dutak. Dutak. It's another name for a spiritual healer.
Mhm.
Okay.
So we have this very interesting case brought to you by JR. I found it extremely interesting. So we gathered some information. Obviously, we using websites. We will we will be using today ranker.com, right?
Yes.
Ranker.
Okay, which was written by
Ranker.
Amanda Sedlak hyphen Heavener. Okay. And this was updated last on September 23rd, 2021. The other article we'll be using is from unreservedmedia.com. And this is written by D. Kanyakumari. Yes.
That's a mouthful.
Yep. So apparently this guy is not only a serial killer, but he did it with a purpose, right? In his eyes, he did it with the purpose of gaining more power. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So it says the following. In a documentary, Indonesian clinical psychologist Irsna Menauli classified Ahmad Suradji, the serial killer shaman, as one of these psychopaths. Why? Because Suradji, who hailed from a small Indonesian village ironically named Aman Damai, or, right, quote unquote, peace and tranquility, was reserved by his community as a powerful shaman, yet was driven to take the lives of 42 young women. Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
With that said, Charles has a list of 13 facts that were on
Yes.
ranker.com, which we will be reading in between the article. So let's go with fact number 1.
Says he claimed to be a shaman.
Shaman.
Shaman. Can I say?
Shaman.
Says Ahmad
No. All right.
It says Ahmad Suradji claimed to be a type of spiritual healer called dutak. Technically, the Indonesian government only recognizes 6 different religions, but some people who live there also believe in magic and various healing practices. Suradji was a shaman who people believed could make women more beautiful and help them get rich or find a faithful boyfriend. Thanks to his magical... Shaman.
Shaman.
I'm a Shaman-Ranks.
So 6 different religions. They don't mention all of them, but they do mention that they believe in Islam.
And Christianity.
Right?
Yeah.
He actually got. I think he was more into Islam.
Yes, I can see that.
So people just believe that he was just a dutak.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's how it plays out over there.
But that's how it is in most religions. Like if you look at you look at Catholics. Some Catholics believe that like the Pope, he's like the
God,
the all-powerful Pope, like he has healing power. Some people believe that if they just touch him, they'll be cured and whatnot.
Kiss the ring.
Yeah, no, for real. Like, and I mean, I don't know about the other religion. I only thought about Catholics, but I guess.
Yeah, I get the idea.
Yeah, like they have these people that they look to as being more, a saint or whatever. All right. So, his victims were buried waist deep in a hole they themselves helped dig.
Wow.
Jesus.
Tell me, if once he puts you to dig a hole, wouldn't you think the other way? It's kind of weird that you digging your own hole.
I'm assuming it's because they probably admired him. Like you see,
that's true. Because if not, they wouldn't be wasting money going to him. That's kind of weird, making you dig a hole. Which, if he was willing to do the whole job itself and whatever ritual he was going to do,
maybe he's just saying, the power of the earth,
Yeah, we're gonna dig a hole. We're not gonna tell you what it's for.
Yeah, mud baths and
jump in. You're gonna get all the healing power. I don't know. Listen, I know there's countries where they do for Good Friday, where they actually, as a sacrifice, they go and they hang themselves on crosses, and they get beaten. Yeah, they do the whole thing that Christ went through.
Wow.
And they get beat with whips, and they go through all that.
But I don't think it's in Indonesia. I don't think it's in Indonesia.
I'm not saying in the Philippines and one of these places in South America also they do it. But
yeah, I've seen it in South America.
There's Asian countries where they do that. All right, we're shaman. All right,
shaman.
It was important in this ritual that they were buried facing his house, and it was even more important that their arms were buried as well. As soon as they were completely immobilized, Suradji went in for the kill by strangling them to death and then proceeding to suck out their saliva.
Oh, that's nasty.
Once he was done, he stripped his victims bare and buried them with their heads facing his home, supposedly for good luck. I'm trying to understand, how do you suck the saliva?
They say that they say that they're not sure that if it was like mouth to mouth contact or it was like
in a jar
somehow, a jar.
So I'm wondering, right, if part of the ritual was like, just I'm burying you waist deep, right? This is, again, you see in Santeria, where people rub eggs and stuff like that. But
that is an interesting choice. I mean, usually you would want to drink their blood, not their saliva.
I've never heard of that.
Either way you
that's
look at
interesting. Yeah,
I've never heard of that. Like, this is
he probably came in with a crazy straw, put it in his mouth and just suck it out.
I can picture him convincing these people, because again, if you look up videos with these fake shamans, there's actually videos on YouTube where you can look them up and you can see how supposedly they're taking out demons from people, and they're making them just spit into these bowls, and they have stuff in their hands where they're just dipping it into the bowl, and they're making people believe that that's in their mouth. Yeah, And then they do like there was a whole experiment on this. I remember they were supposedly ripping out tumors from people's bodies, and you can see, right? Supposedly the effect is the shaman lays a person flat, right, on a table or whatever, and they take their fingers and they dig into their chests.
I've seen something like
they're
that.
ripping out these tumors, right? Which later on that was debunked because they're really not doing that. They're just people are with their eyes closed and they're rubbing their fingers through their chest, so the person doesn't really know what's going on. They just feel that pressure. And then all of a sudden they have like bacon dipped in like food coloring and stuff like that in their hand, and these are the tumors that they're ripping out. This was all debunked years ago.
Yeah.
But the people, since they believe, they're like, holy shit, this person ripped out tumors from my body. Oh my God, look, because I'm telling you, look for the videos on YouTube. If I can find a clip, I'm going to put it so you can see like how they would grab a person by the face and they dig their fingers in their mouth to make them like throw up. And they would have stuff, and it's like, oh, they spit into the bowl, and all you see is like this chunk of meat or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, I'm taking out all the demons and all this stuff, all the sickness. I'm taking it out of your body, and people believed it.
Well, so, I guess they're really naive.
Listen, people, when they get into that whole spiritual belief, it's like they truly believe it, and it's like you can't tell them otherwise. But it's by sectors. It was even here in the States. You have places where people, hey, if you let me fuck your daughter, you'll go to heaven.
Hell
people
no.
do it. Like people do it because they truly believe. Like they're so naive or gullible, call it whatever you want. They believe. Like there's a documentary on Netflix called
I think I saw that one.
Abducted in Plain Sight. And this guy convinces this family. I think we spoke about this in one of the podcasts, where he was a photographer, a friend of the family, lived across the street, and this family, they would leave him alone with their daughters, and he convinced them of like that he had this connection with, I think, like aliens, and he ends up molesting the daughter, and when the wife goes to confront him, he ends up fucking the wife. And then when the dad goes to confront them, the dad ends up giving him a hand job. But
some people have a way with words.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like when you pray on what people believe, it's like that. What was that guy's name? It was in the 90s. John Edwards, I think it was. He was on TV. He was like a psychic.
Oh, okay. I think
Okay, so that guy, he had so many people fooled. And this guy, he was just an extremely intelligent guy who was very good with body language. So he would say, I'm feeling someone lost their dad, but he's watching to see who reacts to it with body language. And then he'd be like, you lost a dad. And the person like, oh no, yeah. So he would feed off that. It's all psychology, bro.
I'm just thinking about the Family Guy joke.
I'm sensing an A. Does your name begin with an A? No. A B? No. C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. Peter! My name's Peter! Is your name Peter? Wow, you are some kind of sorcerer.
People, when people truly believe things, like they look towards these spiritual leaders, they're looking for answers.
They really hang on to that.
You have somebody like I watched a documentary last night about it's on HBO called Call Me Cleo, I think it is. It's about Cleo, remember? Call me now. Remember her?
Oh yeah.
So the whole story about her and how, people truly believe, even though she supposedly had a real gift. And the company that she signed with, they took advantage of that, and they took advantage of people just looking for somebody to talk to, somebody to give them answers, and they hired these bunch of rinky-dink people just reading a script, passing as psychics, and they weren't. The only psychic was Cleo. But anyway, yes, people believe things, and again, that's the same reasoning atheists use towards religious people. They're like, oh, you guys just truly believe this and whatnot. But that's why I always tell everyone, no matter what you believe in, read up on it. Actually understand why you're following that. Why do you believe that? That's why I believe in God. I believe in the Bible, but I have studied the Bible. You know, I'm not just basing it on because somebody stood in front of on a stage and told me to. Anyway, we continue here with the story. Quote, my father did not specifically advise me to kill people. So I was thinking it would take ages if I had to wait to get 70 women. He says, because I was trying to get it as fast as possible, I used my own initiative to kill. That was why from 1986 until now, I have killed 42 women. End quote. These were Suradji's words recorded while he was serving his prison sentence before his execution. By the way, kudos on his execution. I think it was amazing. All right. Let's read fact number 2. His father's ghost instructed him to kill 70 women, but he only made it to 42, as we just read in the story. It says that Ahmad Suradji started his killing spree in 1986 after his father came to him in a dream with an important message. If Suradji killed 70 women, he would become even more powerful and be able to perform stronger acts of magic. He would also become a mystical healer. However, Suradji failed at his goal and only killed 42 victims. However, there might be other women still unaccounted for. After his capture, local police put word out, asking people to come forward with names of women missing in the area. This added an additional 80 people to his list of possible victims.
Wow. That's a number that's really specific. 70? That's too specific.
Right? There has to be some type of like connection or something. Like it must mean something to them at least.
Well, yeah. 70 drink this a lot. Kind of weird.
Yeah, that's fair.
Your dad is telling you that in your dreams.
To suck on people's tongues.
Yeah. All right. So the article continues.
He sucks on their tongue just like those ring pops.
The story continues with troubled childhood. The story, though bizarre, is rather simple. Suradji was born to a self-proclaimed sorcerer. So that apparently was a sorcerer.
Yeah. Yeah, remember, that's why in the dream he told him.
It was no wonder that a Javanese, never heard that term, growing up in such an environment would be fascinated by the art of black magic. He watched every day while his father, whose name is unknown, earned praise and respect for resolving issues affecting their community. However, this also meant that Suradji, whose real name is Nasib Kelewang,
Nasib killed my wang.
He was often neglected by his parents. He was apparently, quote unquote, different as a young boy and had trouble making friends, leaving him alone to do his own thing. In his case, it wasn't the best thing. Lonely and neglected, Suradji didn't do well in school and began a life of crime. He was only 19 when he first went to prison and served 10 years for petty crimes and public violence.
Wow, 10 years for just petty crimes. And over here, they'll give you like what, a year, 2 years, maybe maximum.
Shit, here in New York now, the way the laws are now, you do petty crimes, you get arrested one day, the next day you get sent home with a Metro card, and here's some like Yankee tickets or something. Go have fun.
A slap on the wrist. Go home.
Sad to say, that's where we're at right now. All right,
but
so
the pattern is there. The neglecting parents.
It's always Papi that's mentioned, right?
Why
common denominator?
It's always the dad, like has something to do with it. Okay, so barely 2 years after he was released, Suradji was back behind bars for cattle theft. According to a documentary by Crime Investigation Asia, upon his release, he felt he needed to do something to shed his bad reputation. He didn't like the way people looked at him and treated him, so he made the decision to be like his father. Quote, I aspired to follow in footsteps of my father. I did not learn sorcery from anyone else but my father. End quote. He said in his testimony. So began the journey of sorcery for Suradji, which at the time included helping the people in his community. He was later revered and regarded as Datuk Maringi, Locals believed that he could move clouds and heal the sick, but Suradji had a dark secret. He was in reality one of the most prolific and hideous serial killers of all time. Bum bum bum.
He's one of the laziest ones too.
Look at this dude.
Because he wouldn't go look for them.
No.
They would come to him.
It makes sense because people already knew him, knew who he was. I mean, he's not a complete stranger saying, "Here, I can heal the sick and whatnot." Like
he was just sitting back. Come.
Yeah. I just don't get how it takes, again, unless you did it in a week, right? I don't understand how nobody, right? You know how rumors spread very quickly. How nobody noticed, hey, women that are going to this guy's house are never coming back. Right? It's like he got to 42 women. Like, how did nobody think of this?
It's like they said, a lot of them went for beauty. A lot of them went for, I guess, to get a good man. And a lot of them went to get riches. Maybe but then they thought that they worked. They got the riches and they bounced.
Yeah.
So what's the use of looking for them?
But I was reading over here that says that when he didn't have any clients, he reportedly went out and picked up prostitutes to kill in order to fulfill his quota. So people that wouldn't be missed.
They wouldn't be missed. That said, let's jump into fact number 3. He didn't seek out his victims. They came to him. Go.
Because of his shamanic powers, Suradji rarely had to go out and find victims. Most of them came to him for help improving their lives. Word spread around his village and nearby villages of his healing powers, so women came from all over the place to receive his help. As a part of his magical healing ritual, which they quickly found out was solely for his own benefit, his victims helped him by digging their own graves. Then he covered the women waist deep in dirt as part of his cure, and then strangled them to death once they were immobilized. When Suradji went through a dry spell and didn't have any clients come to him, he reportedly went out and picked up prostitutes to kill in order to fulfill his quota.
Oh, so this guy was like on a schedule, right?
Yeah, he was rushing through it. He knew something was up. He knew
Shaman.
Wow. Yeah, he must have known, or he must have felt that he was gonna get caught soon. Because he was trying to rush through it too fast.
Yeah, I mean, it must be horrible. Imagine being buried up to your neck.
No.
And then somebody's gonna come and strangle you. Like you just can't do anything about it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, even if you're waist deep. All right, no.
See, there you go. When he was strangling people, like people must, scream or whatever, and that's when he sucked on their tongue. I don't know, like.
Yeah, but he did it in the sugarcane field. Yo, that's in the middle of nowhere, or it's behind his house. So he's got I guess he has no neighbors, or if he does have, well, they're far off.
Or deaf.
Or they're deaf.
I'm telling you, but that's what following blindly, like this is following blindly to the 10th power. Like you're digging your own grave. Obviously, you don't know it's your own grave. But if I
trusted him too much.
I would go as far as, okay, jump in the hole. Okay, now I'm gonna cover your arms where you can't move. Sorry, bro.
Hell no.
That's it.
Yo, look. Not too long ago, I got into my grandson's sleeping bag, not feet first, and I got desperate because I felt like I couldn't move.
Oh my God!
So just imagine. Feeling... I hate that feeling. Not being
it's crazy. Terrible that you can't move your arms and like.
Oh hell no! Just thinking about it makes me want to just spread my arms and shit.
Yes, but so imagine. I mean, think about these women. Obviously, if he's doing it in a field, so he's taking you by yourself as a woman. He's a man. So let's walk into the woods. Okay. Now we're going to dig a hole. Okay. Jump in the hole. Okay. Now you're going to put your arms down, straight down, and I'm going to bury you so that you can't move your arms. No, that's it. And the fact that people follow this, like, is insane.
That's like it's like some of these these satanic cults. They follow them blindly. Then at the end of the year, drink some juice.
Yeah.
And boom, everybody's dead. No.
Everybody drank the Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid.
Yeah, there's a documentary on that too on HBO.
Yeah.
Okay, so in 1986, Suradji had a dream, one that became a nightmare for many women and their families. He claimed that the ghost of his deceased father told him that he needed to obtain the saliva of 70 dead young women in order to attain invincibility. In his testimony, Suradji revealed he was never ordered by his father to kill, but admitted that he had killed those women to achieve his target of sucking the saliva of 70 dead women sooner. In separate confessions, Suradji had also said murder was an quote-unquote easy way to make money. Quote, if I just rob people, I could get shot or put in jail, but this way, people came to me, I took their money, then killed them, end quote.
Really?
And so...
He is a definition of work smarter, not harder.
Word, right?
Yeah.
Like, do less.
Do less, more money.
If you build, they will come. And so he began victimizing women who came to him in their quest for love or help with their marriage. At times, Suradji even hired prostitutes, then murdered them because he, quote, could not wait around for more women to come by. Suradji continued for 11 years, pursuing his mission to attain, quote-unquote, invincibility. He had a successful modus operandi. It helped that most of the women who came to him for help had done so in secret.
There you go. Now you know why they disappeared. Nobody noticed.
So there was no way of linking him to their disappearances. Okay, see, now this clarifies a little bit. So free money, many murders, a shot at becoming invincible and getting away with it all. It all looked good for Suradji until he came across 21-year-old Sri Kemala Dewi, the woman who was to be his final sacrifice, and Andreas, a rickshaw driver whose tale saved other women in Aman Damai from a horrifying end. With that said, let's read fact number 5.
It says that he killed his victims and drank their saliva. He buried them in a sugarcane field near his house. While they were still alive, he placed them in the ground feet first up to their waists. After he strangled them to death, he stripped them naked and then buried the rest of their bodies with their head pointed towards his house, thinking the placement would further enhance his magical powers.
Look, he was charging each woman approximately about $200 to $400, right? Why, even though they told him it had to be dead, why he just didn't tell the girls, spit in a cup, do whatever ritual, get paid anyway, and you still have to spit the saliva?
Well, I think it had to be. That's why. So his father, right, apparently in the dream, never told him it's okay in order to attain his ability. So it had to be dead women.
That's why. It's the only thing that gave him a reason why.
Yeah.
But
so it had to be the saliva of dead women, even though the ghost of Papi never told him kill the women.
What?
But it had to be dead women saliva. So
it could have been any dead. He didn't have to specifically kill them. He could have just gone to a morgue, let's say, and any fresh body that would come in, just stick a straw, suck it out.
Not harder.
Yeah. Bro, he figured it out.
That's what you said.
Listen, I get money. He gets money at the same
not
time.
Harder.
He got money.
Look what he got for that. So,
yep.
He got money. He got naked women. God knows
and
what
saliva.
He did with those bodies. And then he got the saliva. And in his mind, burying these women with facing the house gave him more power.
That's gotta be freaky.
Understand that, but
that's gotta be creepy as hell, yo. Look out the window, you see them heads looking your way.
The 42 looking, yeah.
And then the thing is decomposed. Ugh. That's even worse.
Yep. All right. On April 27, 1997, a young farmer had ventured to the sugarcane fields to feed his livestock and came across an unusual mound of dirt. Alarmed, he quickly informed the village head Sugito of his discovery.
With a lot of juguito.
He was also Suradji's neighbor. In an interview, Sugito said that he and a few other men went to inspect the mound and had struck a piece of wood into it, only to be assaulted by the rancid stench of decay. Worried, he immediately alerted the military, who in return told Sugito to start digging to see what was beneath the mound of dirt. Quote, they said, should we find a body, we should leave it alone and inform them immediately. End quote.
No.
6 men, and 2 hours later, they discovered a body, naked and bloated. The putrefied body of a young woman was removed from the muddy grave. The police, let me read that again. Okay. 6 men, and 2 hours later, they discovered a body, naked and bloated. The putrefied body of a young woman was removed from the muddy grave. The police were called. She was vaguely recognized as 21-year-old Dewey by onlookers, and her family was summoned to identify her body. Dewey's mother, Arsana, said she could tell it was her daughter by just looking at her legs. It was like my worst nightmare had come to life. I refused to believe it was her, but there she was, dead in front of me. No one knew what had happened, and they last saw Dewey 3 days previously when she stepped out of her home to run an errand. Soon after the discovery of her body, a 15-year-old rickshaw driver stepped forward, shedding light on the mystery behind Dewey's death. Andrea Suito explained that on April 24, 97, Dewey had asked him to take her to a destination without elaborating on details, saying that she did not disclose her destination until they were halfway there. Quote, as I asked her again, she said she wanted to go to Datuk's house. I was curious because it was rather late at night, so I asked why she was going there, and she had told me not to be nosy. So that means she went over there at night. That makes it even worse. Upon hearing the statement by Andrea, Sugito was shocked and shared that Suradji had asked about the commotion on April 27 and even told him not to fear if it was a ghost. He further shared that Suradji was one of the 6 men who helped dig up Dewey's body. This fucking guy. So he was actually one of the guys helping dig up the body.
He played it off.
Yeah. What a twist!
Like it wasn't me.
Yo, that's insane, man.
What a twist!
Word, right?
What a twist!
Okay, so in his confession, Suradji shared that Dewey had gone to him, and as she had a dispute with her fiance, wanted him back. She was seeking assistance from Suradji to ensure her fiance did not leave her for another woman. Quote, that night, she was scared because we had to walk through a cemetery to get to the sugarcane plantation. I told her it was fine, but she insisted that my wife accompany us for the ritual. Dewey was the one who asked for my wife to come along, and that was how my wife got to know about the murders, he said. Bum, bum, bum.
One of his 3 wives knew.
He explained that he had constantly reassured Dewey to calm her down while he was burying her, and said it took him a mere 12 to 15 minutes to kill her before he sucked out her saliva. Quote, if I were to bury my victims without any lining, their bodies would decompose faster. So I stripped her with the help of my wife, rolled up her clothes, put them in a plastic bag. Then I headed home, he said, adding that it was the first time he had brought his wife, Tumini, along. He also explained that all three of his wives
He's
had
greedy.
not known of his murders up until the discovery of Dewey's body. With that
only
said,
one of them got to know.
Let's read.
I mean, anything is
6.
possible. He was caught when neighbors found a dead body in a nearby field. Ahmad's killing spree lasted from 1986 until 1997, when he was finally captured. It's possible he could have continued his sinister work had the body of one of his victims not been discovered in a local sugarcane field. After the police identified her and local residents realized she was last seen alive on her way to Suradji for a shamanic ritual, officers researched his house. Inside, authorities found the woman's belongings as well as those of several other missing women. So, si no hubiese sido así, no lo cogen.
Yeah, if it wasn't for that, they wouldn't have caught him.
He would have been way past 70.
All right, so let's read here the last of this article, and then we'll just discuss the rest of the facts. Countless deaths. Alfredo Satillo, the forensic expert who worked on the case, said that following the discovery of Dewey's body and the statement by the rickshaw man, Andreas, Suradji was arrested on April 30th, 1997. He went through 4 days of interrogation, during which he willingly disclosed that he had murdered a total of 42 women and buried all of them in the sugarcane field. Quote, "We're all human beings. We have our own strengths and weaknesses. If I remember correctly, I have murdered 42 women. I did not suspect I was going to get caught. I did not try to run away when I saw the police because I had resigned to my fate," said Suradji. Tatio explained that the military and the police then worked together with the locals to unearth all the other bodies. Dewey could be identified quite quickly because her body was still fairly fresh. 4 other bodies were also identified shortly after discovery because their families came forward. There were 4 bodies which could not be identified and had to be cremated without anyone claiming them. It was just impossible to recognize the rest as they had been reduced to a pile of skull and bones. In fact, we think there's a possibility that more than 42 bodies were there, he said. He, however, added that considering the extent of decomposition of the bodies, it was difficult to tell if sexual assault had happened at all. The forensic expert also revealed that Suradji had claimed none of his murders were ever sexually motivated. Perhaps his 3 wives kept him busy.
Yeah.
Wink, wink. Quote, "He simply said it was also a way for him to make money as he could rob them without getting caught," said Satio. Several missing...
That's wrong. That's wrong. He did get caught.
I know, right? It's like... Several missing person reports by the villagers later revealed that over 80 female villagers had gone missing. However, there is no way to know if they were all murdered by Suradji, and the prosecution was finding it hard to even pin Suradji down to the murders he had initially admitted to committing. So that is the end of this article, all right? So he got caught. And with that said, let's just run down through the rest of the facts, which the next one was the exciting one for me. So let's read fact number 7.
He was executed by firing squad. And 10 years after his capture and trial in 2008, Ahmad was executed in his home country of Indonesia by firing squad. Before he died, he gave one last interview in which he stated, "The black magic came from God. I don't have it anymore. I have repented. I hope I have a chance to live." Suradji was one of 10 people executed that year. Indonesia enforces the death penalty for everything from terrorism to possession of narcotics. Mass murder, of course, is punished with extreme prejudice.
Yes.
A firing squad.
Justice.
That's amazing. That's there's so many crimes.
And yeah, he repented. He was hoping that nothing would happen.
Listen, you can repent, but bro, You committed the crime. That's it. You got.
Do
He's
time.
trying to get on their good
you.
grades. He was trying to get on their good grades because he helped them unbury them.
Nah, fuck that guy.
He helped them dig out.
It's like that other guy. What was it? Garavito.
Yeah.
Fucking wanting to come out to be a politician and offer young people abuse. Man, fuck you, bro. Like, get out of here with that shit.
You know, but I asked myself one question. These victims were all from 11 years old up to what? 30, I think it was, something a little bit more.
I don't know. I didn't read anything about
the ages. It's from 11 years old. What would an 11-year-old be doing over there without parents, guardian?
Yeah, man. Listen, I'm not trying to like shit on the victims. Obviously, I would never do that. And it's just there's so many things that I question when I see things like this. Like, again, you want to be gullible, whatever it is, and but there's certain situations that I just don't like as a parent, right? You put yourself in the shoes of a parent, and you think about, I would never let. I mean, obviously, yeah, you can argue that, well, maybe the child escaped from the house and nobody knew, or, climbed out the window, whatever it is. So. But there's things like, I'm telling you, when you see like at that documentary, Abducted in Plain Sight, I swear to you, I watched that documentary, and as I watched it more and more, I got angrier. Not at the killer. I mean, not the killer, at the pedophile, whatever he was. I got angry at the parents. It's like, what do you let a stranger, a friend from across the street, sleep in your house, sleep around your girls? Your girl wakes up with her panties down through her ankles, and you see nothing wrong with that? Like, nah, man, no.
Fuck out of here.
All right, we got sidetracked here.
Yeah.
So fact number 8 is he gave religious advice to his fellow prisoners. After entering prison, Ahmad Suradji stopped trying to be a shaman. Really?
Shaman.
Yep. So he converted to Islam and became very devout. In fact, he started giving religious advice to his fellow prisoners. Apparently, he was also very popular. His infamy as a serial killer led to a kind of celebrity status while he was incarcerated. You see what I'm saying?
Eso tiene un nombre. What do you call people that sound like, sweet with words? Eso tiene un nombre. Just know how to talk. A smooth talker. Yeah. Whatever you're going to spit through your mouth, people are going to believe it.
Yeah.
Some people have a gift for that.
Voice.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like,
people have a gift, and I mean, you see these motivational speakers, and some of these people don't know shit about what they're talking about. They just find the script, find information, but they're good at talking, so they're able to convince people.
That's what you call what a snake oil. What people that
snake oil salesman.
Yeah.
Or charlatan, which I learned recently that charlatan is actually a real word.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I always thought charlatan was like a made-up word in PR, but no, a charlatan.
Really? Oh,
see, you guys
the more you know.
I didn't know that. I learned that like 2 years ago. I was like, oh shit, that's actually a real word. Yep.
The more you know.
Yeah. So Number 9 is one of his wives was his accomplice, which we read in the story. Right? Ahmad Suradji had 3 wives, all sisters. Wow. All sisters.
He's greedy.
All 3 sisters.
He's smart.
I'm telling you, that's that smooth talking.
Smooth talking shit.
All 3 sisters to be your wives.
He probably spoke to them all three of them at the same time.
But you can see the common denominator here. The guy was smooth with his words. So no matter what he did, he can convince people. Like, he would have been a great salesman. So he convinced all 3 were questioned. Although all 3 were questioned after the murders were discovered, only one, Tumini, was charged as his accomplice. She went on trial at the same time he did and received life in prison for her involvement in his crimes. His other 2 wives apparently didn't know about the evil activities. So that's why when he says, "Oh, she didn't know anything until that body was discovered or whatever," that's bullshit. That's just him trying to like cover for her.
Mm-hmm.
Fact number 10, Charles. He also bred cattle.
Bred cattle. Most serial killers have a day job. For example, John Wayne Gacy owned a construction and maintenance business. Things were a bit different in Indonesia, where Ahmad Suradji worked as a cattle breeder. His profession required quite a bit of open land, which provided him with a place to bury his victims. So he was a hard worker.
Yeah.
Sort of. All he had to do was put two cattle together and they breed themselves. He didn't do much.
That was just the front, just to have the land, the big land to bury people.
Yep. All right. Fact number 11 is that his neighbors respected him. Prior to discovering that he was a serial killer, Ahmad Suradji's neighbors respected him. He would volunteer his time to help out when needed, particularly if the person who needed him was sick. He also gave money to charitable causes. The ostensibly altruistic activities ultimately helped him out, as his neighbors would recommend him to anyone seeking magical healing services.
Can you search what that word means?
What?
Can you search what that word means? Because I'm curious. Ostensibly
means apparently or purportedly, but perhaps not actually. So the apparent, right?
Apparent altruistic
activities, yeah.
Okay, so they weren't that altruistic.
Yeah. All right. So number 12.
He not only killed his victims, but he charged them first. Ahmad Suradji's magical skills weren't free. Before he would begin to heal the women who came to him or perform a ritual to make her more sexually attractive, he first charged her the Indonesian equivalent of between $200 and $400, just like JR said. Mm-hmm. Oh, he glitched.
That glitching is pissing me off.
Glitching. Once he had the money in hand, he began the spell that eventually led to the woman's death.
They actually paid to die.
That's insane, man.
So what do you think women went to ask him, because I want to be sexually attractive. Like, yeah, I want bigger boobs. Yeah, let's go bury you on the earth. And
I think it's more I think it's more not physical.
Oh, okay.
So I'm thinking
more of internal stuff.
Like when you talk about
insecurities.
No, when you talk about black magic, when you go for black magic, the word magic, the aspect of magic is to make people believe, right? What is prestidigitation, something like that's what the real word for magic is, to make people believe something that's not there, right? So when I mean, again, this is me assuming, right? Seeing growing up amongst people that practice brujeria and all that stuff, what they look for is for, let's say, I want this person to find me more attractive. So the spell is not for you. The spell is for the person.
In other words, if anybody sees you, they see you attractive, and nothing have changed on your.
Yeah, you can be the same dumpy person, but they see you differently.
Yeah,
that's what they're looking for. It's like when women, when they talk about love, it's not really for love. It's because they want to tie down a person. They want this person never to leave them. So it's all spells.
It's like that love.
So it's not that they wanted to change their physical appearance.
I don't think so. I think it's more like, oh, do a spell so
that makes more sense.
I can look hot. Yeah. Okay, so the last fact here is number 13, is that his last wish was to see his wife. I'll tell you this much. I would have been like, fuck you. But let's read it.
Hell no.
After he got caught, Ahmad Suradji attempted to appeal his death sentence. This obviously didn't go over well with Indonesian authorities, and his appeal was denied. As his execution approached, he told his jailers he had one last wish: to see his wife Tumini, who was serving life in prison as his accomplice. The authorities acquiesced. I don't know the word.
Look it up.
And he was able to speak to her one last time before he died. Let's look what that.
What does that mean?
Acqueezed. Funny word, right? Sounds like a made-up word.
Like a Canadian word.
I mean, I could be reading it wrong. So
Hey,
ACQ. Yeah, acqueezed. That's how you pronounce it. Is to accept something reluctantly, but without protest. So the authorities accepted reluctantly.
In other words, they
his
accepted without
request.
bitching.
Yeah. And he was able to speak to her one last time. No, fuck that. I'd be like, nope, sorry, bro. Sorry. No.
You had your chance.
So that is the story. Acqueeze, right?
Acqueeze.
So that's the story of Ahmad Suradji, the shaman.
A smooth talker who got what he wanted just by smooth talking people.
Smooth operator.
Smooth operator. Yep, that's what I was
thinking. Smooth operator.
Like
there you go.
This guy would have made an amazing salesman. I'm telling you.
Yep.
So yeah, like this. I mean, he got into the whole shaman thing because it was a easier way for him to
get
his victims. Yeah, get his victims, and not only his victims to get what he needed, which was dead women's saliva, but he also got paid for it, which is crazy to me. I mean,
and he got 3 wives that were sisters.
And he had 3 wives that were sisters, and then he gets caught, and he ends up convincing everyone in jail to praise him as a religious man now.
To let them see his wife one last time.
Yo, you gotta give him that much.
No, you gotta give him his props for being. I'm telling you, this guy, an amazing salesman. The fact that he always got the yes.
He could sell ice to an Eskimo.
He always got the yes. Like that's a skill. I'll tell you that much. That's an amazing skill. Like in business,
yeah, he was one of those. I don't know. You look at him and he was, I don't know, mad ghetto. Mad dumpy, smoking a cigarette.
Yo, that's a skill. I would love to have that skill, man. Convince people. I'm gonna convince you guys to subscribe to the podcast. Subscribe to the channel. Even if you don't like it,
you
if
know
we could bring them live, we will have a lot more viewers.
You know you want to do it. Yeah, come on. Yeah, I dare you. I double dare you.
I dare you to subscribe and like.
Yeah, I dare you.
I dare you to leave me a comment.
In Charles one, I dare you to leave me a confession.
I'm telling you, that's a skill that many entrepreneurs wish they had. Me being one of them.
That's a skill people pay to get.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I've read books on this, and I'm still not a great salesman. I'm working on that skill, but if I had that skill, I'd be selling courses on YouTube. I'd be selling products. What? I would have infomercials on YouTube. What? Yeah. So yeah, that was Ahmad Suradji. I think I found this case to be very, very interesting, to be honest. Very, very interesting. It's different. I mean, even though I think most of the ones we've read so far, they've been different, right? Like,
yeah,
we haven't stuck to the norm that everybody goes for. Yeah, I feel like everybody talks about. Yeah, you talk about the David Berkowitz and Ted Bundy, and it's like the same old, and Dahmer. Right. Which is why we haven't spoken about. Yeah,
these are more like the lesser known.
But these are some interesting cases so far. I'll tell you this much: the Garavito case still grosses me out. I don't think there hasn't been a case yet that has grossed me out more than that one. So I recommend everyone, if you're listening to this podcast and you have not heard the episode that we spoke about Garavito, which is the priest of Colombia, I recommend you go and listen to it. Or if you're watching on YouTube, go and watch the video. Yeah, so far, this is our episode number 20, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And I haven't read anything grosser than that so far.
Yeah, and you got to remember that a lot of it was cut out because of gruesome details.
Yeah, but listen to the podcast first.
No, of course. Much easier.
Yeah, listen to
Work smarter,
watch the video,
not harder.
and just exactly. Watch the video, and you can hear our commentary on it. Obviously, we read the stories, we read the articles, we give credit to the writers of these articles because we don't write this ourselves. Sometimes we might do our own notes, but we read these articles and we give our commentary on it. But
right,
yeah, man. So far, that case has been the most gross one for me.
Horrific.
And yeah.
There he goes.
There he goes again.
There you go.
Let's go treasure hunting.
Let's go for treasure.
So yeah. With that said, I think we can end this episode here. I do want to encourage everyone. Again, if you have not subscribed, do so to the podcast or the YouTube channel.
Click on that button.
Like and share,
we dare
comment.
We dare you.
But I want to hear. I feel like we're getting a lot of viewers, and people are not leaving us their comments. We want to hear your feedback on this story. What do you think of it? What did you find interesting? What didn't you like of it? What, I don't know, questions. Write us questions.
Any suggestions?
And we will answer your comments. If you have any suggestions on topics, you can leave them in the comment box. Or again, if you want to send us one of your stories, something that you think might make an interesting episode, send it to us at the grimfixpodcast@gmail.com. So with that said, till next week, everyone, please be safe.
Peace. Want some donuts, man?
Donuts.
Some jelly donuts.